Hello my dear friends. Look, I know, you are probably wondering if I even do monthly favourites anymore because I haven't posted the past 2 months, and even if this is June, it's very late. So here's the thing, I love doing the monthly favourites in that I love having the final product, but it is so boring to edit. And since this is a hobby, I do this on my own time. If I have to choose between watching a movie and editing a very boring thing for 2 hours, I'm probably going to choose the movie. But I love doing them, and a lot of you seem to like them as well, so I'm going to try and get these back on track. If you're curious, my April and May favourites are going to appear on the screen right now. So here is what I liked in April, and here is what I liked in May. If you want me to talk more in detail about these things, please ask me in the comments and I'll be glad to chat about them. Now, June, we are going to talk about movies, books, TV shows and others. The other category is very full this month. June was the month where Wonder Woman came out, and I loved Wonder Woman, as you may have noticed if you've seen my video on the subject that will be right now. I don't have much to add apart from what I said in this video, so if you want to hear me talk more in detail about this, watch the video. In June I got to watch again in a cinema Moonlight, and you might know that I am in love with Moonlight. When I describe it, I tend to call it a true piece of art, whatever the hell that means, because that's how I feel when I watch Moonlight. I connect on such a special level with Moonlight, and it is strange because it's the story of a black gay man in the poor parts of America, and I am only one of these things, but I still connect very much to the story that's told in the movie. And the last movie that I saw in cinemas was Gifted. If you haven't heard of it, Gifted has Chris Evans in the main role, and he's basically raising his gifted niece, and there's a conflict of interest because his mother wants to put her in a big school for geniuses, and he wants to keep her in a small school. I thought it was such an interesting story, and just like I like them as well, because there is no real good guy or bad guy. You know, every character needs to be complex in a proper good story, but really you find yourself rooting for every side of the problem, and I think that's fantastic. For the month of June I have 2 books. The first one, I was walking with a friend to go and see an exhibition that I'll tell you more about later on, and we actually found ourselves in an anti-Tories protest, so we did what everybody would do and we bought some badges and books, and this one was one of them. I am not going to try and pronounce this because I'm going to butcher it, but this thing is written by the same woman who wrote We Should All Be Feminists. Basically this is an adaptation from a letter to a friend. This friend just had a baby girl, and she asked the author, how can I raise my girl into a feminist? And this is 15 suggestions answering this question, and it is absolutely brilliant. I don't think it's just useful if you are raising a girl or planning on raising a girl or any child of any gender, but it's still a very interesting read and very short as well, because this is I think 50 pages and it's a really tiny book, so if you can get your hands on one of these, I really recommend it. Somewhere during June it was the 20th anniversary of the first Harry Potter book, so as you may have heard if you're in the Harry Potter fandom, they actually re-released new editions of The Philosopher's Stone, and I didn't really plan on buying it, but my friend Lucille bought it for me. As you may notice, I'm a Ravenclaw, so she bought me the Ravenclaw edition. It is so beautiful. I am not much of a collector, contrary to my friend, but I appreciate a good looking book. This is all blue and beautiful, even the pages are blue, and there's bonus information at the beginning and at the end about Ravenclaw and the house ghost, and you know, all the value of the house, and it is very dear to me. I started reading it again, but I didn't go very far. When it comes to TV shows, you might know that I love finding a small TV show. Probably on Netflix is the easiest because can just have all the episodes like that. And I found 2 shows like this in June. One of them is Girl Boss. Girl Boss was cancelled and it's awful. So there's just 1 season. It's a bit hard to explain, but it is about a young woman who, I would say, struggles to find her place in society, but that's very vague and, you know, that doesn't help you very much. She is kind of immature, and you know that doesn't help when you are like 23 or however old she is. It's so hard to describe, especially because it's been over a month since I've seen it, but you can look up a trailer. I think the episodes are about 20 minutes long, which is one of my favourite formats ever because you can binge watch it. Another small series like that is Apartment 23. Apartment 23 has 2 seasons, I think. It's about a girl who moves into New York, I think, and she's looking for a flat, so she ends up with this girl who is borderline psychopath. But it is hilarious, and it's, like I said, a very light thing that you can watch if you need to forget about your problems, because this thing will not remind you of your problems because it's so all over the place. One last honourable mention in the TV shows. I made my friend Lucille, the same who gifted me the book, I made her watch Doctor Who, and she really got hooked, and we spent most of June together watching Doctor Who. We haven't gone past series 2 right now because no spoilers, but if you know Doctor Who, you know what the end of series 2 is. Doomsday. And I think it broke her a bit inside. So we're gonna take a break from Doctor Who and we're gonna go back to it. But Doctor Who is really one of my favourite TV shows. I watch a lot of TV shows, but this is the one that's really close to my heart, and I won't ever be bored of it. It's always part of me, just like Harry Potter, or I don't know actually, just like Harry Potter. You never actually go and visit the things in your own city. When you're on holiday, you go and visit everything, but if it's your own city, you actually never go to the touristy places. But I finally went to the Tower of London, and it was all thanks to my friend Christy, who got tickets with her job, and it was super interesting. Not only is it a fascinating building, but there's actually exhibitions inside to explain the history of the Tower of London, and it reminded me that I love culture. It's just, I want to absorb every bit of culture I can. Now it's time to talk about the exhibition I mentioned earlier. The exhibition is called Queer Britain, and it is at the Tate Britain in London. I can't remember if it's here anymore. That's going to be written on the screen, but if it's still at the Tate Britain, you should totally go and see it. You have to pay for it. It is not a free exhibition, but it was so interesting. It basically goes through the history of queerness in the UK, well, in Britain anyway. It has different rooms with different aspects, kind of in chronological order, but also in themes. There is art related to queerness in Britain, but there's also things that aren't art and that are just part of history. For example, there is the door that was in front of Oscar Wilde's cell when he was imprisoned for indecency. So that was a mood killer, but also very interesting. Fascinating exhibition. If it's still London and you have a bit of money to spare, totally recommend it. In June, I went to see Emma Blackery in concert. That happened. It was really cool. I filmed it. I never edited it. Yeah, it was awesome to see her perform. I've been following her YouTube channel for like 3 years or something, and it was so cool to actually, well, see her do her music and be happy. In June, I listened to a lot of podcasts. I almost caught up with Welcome to Night Vale, and I also started and finished another podcast also made by the people who made Welcome to Night Vale, called Within the Wires. I've talked about it with some people, and many people told me the same thing. Cool, but very creepy, and it can be a bit triggering and make you kind of space out because it is creepy. It's a story presented under the form of relaxation tapes. So, you know, the very calming music and a voice saying you have to relax and imagine yourself outside of your body. You know, relaxation tapes, except it takes place in an alternative world and you discover the plot as you go, and it gets kind of creepy, but it's also very wonderful. And there's, I think, 8 episodes, so it's not that long. I guess if you find it too creepy, only listen with like one earbud or something, but yeah, you should at least try it out. It's a podcast, so you can find it on iTunes and Spotify and the podcast app on your phone or whatever. It's really easy to find. An honorable mention goes to my hair. Around the end of June I cut it all off and I loved it. I cut it again a few times since because I just love having a buzz cut very much. I also made a video on the subject right here, so you can watch it right now. I feel like it's something that you've got to do at some point in your life. Just cut all your hair off, just to see. And as for me, I am loving it, so I'm keeping it like that for a while. I'm loving just the concept of picking up clippers and just, you know, touching up your haircuts in the evening, just because. Now for a small conclusion. June was a month full of attempts at self-improvement, some more successful than others. In June I stopped biting my nails, and that's pretty impressive since I've been biting my nails since I was like 10 or something, even younger maybe. And apparently it's been quite successful. I just decided to stop and I bought some nail polish and it worked. So good job me. In June I also started working out, which made me feel a lot better about my body. I started watching what I ate, and I also started making proper to-do lists for the week, for the month, all that. And a lot of that has been facilitated by the fact that I made a bullet journal. I talked about it in a Monday's Thoughts that you can watch here, and I've been finding it very useful. As you may know, I'm someone whose brain doesn't work very well, and being organised really helped me. It makes me feel more in control, and at least I can remember what I did during the month, which is also kind of the reason why I'm making these videos, is to keep a log of what I'm doing. Yeah, that's all I have for June. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching it, and thank you for following me in general, you know, what I do online. Like I said, I'm not being paid for this. Yes, my videos are monetized, but I don't actually make any money because I don't have enough views for it to actually matter. So basically what I'm trying to say is the only sort of reward I get is the interaction with you guys and chatting about things and about the things I talk about in my videos, and I love it, and thank you is what I'm trying to say. Well then, I shall see you very soon, hopefully, and maybe if I can finally get this back on track, you'll actually get another one for July in a little while. Yeah.